you so much for showing up. And as you arrive, please mute yourself. I haven't had time to do all sorts of fancy things on Zoom. I just created the meeting because I didn't know what was happening, right? So today's masterclass is the 7 emotions that stop us from making money, from investing money and saving money. Okay, so I'm going to start off with screen share. So it's a PowerPoint presentation. So you guys will be seeing me teach on PowerPoint, and I'll get back and I'll be able to switch back and forth, right? So if you have anything to say, usually the PowerPoint presentation says chat box and all that stuff, right? Please ignore the chat box stuff because that was if we're going to be doing everything on the web page, right? So yeah, but since we don't have the website, I have to do everything via Zoom, and I think it's a good alternative because I know that Zoom works very well in Vietnam because I use it all the time for my coaching sessions. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, I'm just gonna, okay, awesome. I think you guys are able to see my screen just fine. I'm trying. Okay, give me 5 seconds because suddenly now I can't remember anything because I'm a little flustered as well because of this whole drama. Let me see. There. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to start the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Okay, wait, let me just start from scratch. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So when my laptop decided to choose this particular day to just go on the fritz, I was like, oh, nice. And it's funny because I was doing all the work on my laptop. And of course, as I started doing the presentation, you guys get to see what it's been doing. It's like just refusing to do anything. The minute I was like, oh, I'm online, I'm on the masterclass, it just decided to cut off. My internet, Google Hangouts decided it doesn't want to work properly. And I was like, well, that's how things happen most times. So, okay, there we go. Let me start. Okay, so the class is the 7 emotions that stop us from saving and investing masterclass, right? So, okay, so if you've just joined, by now I'm pretty sure you know who I am. I'm Vangile, and I love to say, well, I just realized what I do last year, properly do, right? It's not just about emotional intelligence. I really help women unlock their inner money guru so that they can fall in love with their bank accounts, stop worrying about money, and just live their best lives. I'm also the author of Heart, Mind, and Money, right? And you guys probably know about me from Wealthy Money on Facebook, through Wealthy Money Academy. I know some of you have had your friends or siblings drag you to this class because they're in the Money Magic course. And I know I'm very late and we've had all these tech difficulties, but I really want to encourage you to just turn off your phone, right? So just turn off your phone, close all your other tabs, and just get rid of any distractions. Get your journal, get your pen and paper, just take down some notes, some aha moments. I promise, even though I'm late, I always, like the Money Magic students always say that I'm always late and I've got some of my own dramas going on around technology, but most times I actually do teach something awesome once in a while, right? So, okay, so you can tell me in the chat on Zoom, there's a chat box and I'll read everything after this presentation, right? So after this class. So you can tell me how you would rate the state of your finances and why you'd rate them like that. So let's say 1 is I have absolutely, they're in a horrible state, and then 10 is like, I'm in a good state. So 5 is, it's okay. I'm not feeling great, you know, but it's okay. And I received everyone's emails. So Basitana, you said, I've tried to get out of debt and start saving and investing and failed dismally. I'm an employee, 43 years of age, relying on my salary. I don't know where to start to create passive income to supplement my income. When I get performance bonuses, it is used to cover debt and travel South Africa with children a bit. My hope is to explore the world. I always seem to max every cent I get. I don't know how to describe my relationship with money. However, one thing is certain: when I receive money, I use it to the max. Okay, so, and you said, I hope this will be the start of me unlearning things about money and start to save and invest. Okay, so most of us are relying only on our salary, right? Or on our business income. So, and it's okay if you don't know where to start to create passive income to supplement your income. The problem often is that people tend to, most often what they're telling us, what people often tell us is that, you know what, you need to go out there and create passive income and create extra streams of income, but nobody tells us how to do that. So what we tend to do is we tend to spread ourselves thin, and we go and we create 3 streams all in one go, right? So I see this often is that people go out of their way and they're creating 3 streams, and there's no rhyme or logic behind it. It's just because I want more money. But the truth is that it would be easier to create an extra stream of income that is more in alignment with your values or with your skills. So, and this is not to bash what I'm about to say. Please understand, this is not to bash any multi-level marketers at all, because in the Money Magic course, I've got people in multi-level marketing who are doing great. But what I've seen with the multi-level marketers that do great, for example, one of the students in the Money Magic course, she does multi-level marketing around health, and my mom as well. So my mom sells golden products, but she's a former nurse. So her selling tablets and vitamins and things like that, people in the village already know my mom for that, right? It's within her field. She is a nurse. She's not going out of her way to get something completely different. She's not selling, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, travel, right? So you've got multi-level marketing companies in travel. So it will be very hard for her when she's already selling to her community and people who know her, to make that leap, right? Because it's so far out of her field and out of her branding. People don't know her for that. You know, they don't like, what does she know about traveling? No offense to my mom, you know, but her thing is health. You know, so you can see how it's also it's also in line with her values. She's always been a herbalist. She's always done steams for people, abafutise. So if you don't know what that means, it means like sweat lodges, you know. So it's always been in line with her. So when you create the next stream of income, my whole point is you want to create a stream of income that is in line with your skills. A, and in line with your values, B. Because if you're going to if you already have a full-time job and then you're creating a whole new stream of income that is completely out of line with your skills, do you understand that you're going to be coming home and you're probably going to have to be learning something brand new? And then for most people, they get tired because a job is tiring. So it's going to be a whole new skill set. So they're not just learning how to build a business, they're learning everything else to do with the business, right? Whereas building a business itself is already so time consuming, a side hustle. So if you know you're a great writer, then yeah, go start a blog. Then you're not learning how to write, you're learning how to start a blog, market it, monetize it, right? Because that's a new business that you would need to learn those skills for business anyway. You'd still need to learn marketing, you'd still need to learn how to monetize things. So don't set yourself up for failure by going into a whole new industry. So I guess if you're already a traveler, then it would make sense to do MLM around traveling or to start a side hustle around being a travel agent or something, you know? So, and there's another whole thing. So one, it's not just about this extra stream of income. So this is something I need to really stress. It's also about understanding the revenue that you would make from that income, the expenses that would come out of the business, and then how much profit you would make from this extra side hustle. Because most people are just thinking in terms of revenue, but also think about that. And then time, how long will it take you to scale the business? So these are things that I can't cover in this class, right, about scaling the business, because these are things I cover in the Money Magic course, and also we just don't have time, to be honest, right? So these are all things that you need to think about. So if you know that you require, I don't know, 2 million Rand or $200,000 extra income in the next 2 years, and then you go and start a business that will take you 5 years to scale to that amount of money, then there's a disconnect. That's when people then need to go and start the next stream, and they haven't even solidified the second stream. So that's the other thing, is that you spread yourself thin when you're using all your resources, because you only have so many resources in a day, right? Or just in general. So if you're going to be spreading yourself completely thin as you're starting 3 different multiple streams of income, then can you see that you're probably not going to be doing all of them correctly? Because if we just look at the first resource, which is the resource of time, there's only so much time that you have in a day. And for the first stream of income to be extra successful, you have to be willing to put in the time. And for most of us, we already have the first stream, it's your job, right? And then for the second stream to be successful, you need to be willing to put in the time to build the business. So even if you're doing multi-level marketing, you need to be willing to put in the time to be able to grow that stream of income. So now if you add the third stream instantly, you're going to be spreading yourself thin, especially if you already don't have people helping you, you haven't built up the human resources. So just think about that. It's also about scalability. It's about revenue potential. It's about expenses. It's about profitability, right? So these are the things to consider. And then your extra streams of income, literally your side hustle is going to be the thing that allows you to up level to get to the passive income faster. It's not to say that you can't create passive income with your salary, but for most people, they're already on feeling super stretched with just the one income stream. So I say to people, if you knew how to live with just one income stream, and yeah, you weren't doing a great job of it, but when the second income stream comes, please don't use it and do the lifestyle creep thing, which is that now you're going to get a bigger house, get a bigger car, get fancier clothes, do all these things. Now you use that stream of income to build passive income. Again, things that I really can't go into too deeply. There's a reason why we have 16 days in the Money Magic course where we just focus on income, right? Because it's just layers upon layers on it. And I'm actually going to be building it out to 20 days, not just 16 days. I'll probably just add another 5-day challenge to it. So Masako, you say, my biggest challenge at the moment is making a budget and sticking to it. I have a tendency to overspend and help others with money I don't have. Okay, let's just say this will be answered in the next, this will be answered as we move forward in this class. So I'm not gonna touch too deeply on it, but Masako, you're going to understand why it's difficult to stick to a budget, right? And why you have the tendency to overspend in this class, okay? So Dumelo, you say, my biggest financial challenge at the moment is creating passive income. I'd really love to make an extra income to help me maintain my current lifestyle and even have enough to invest. Okay, so Dumelo, I think I answered that already, right? So if you go back to the beginning, all that long stretch of all that I was saying, I think I answered it. And Jabu, you said, I became debt-free since I started working. I was also planning a trip to Dubai. I paid cash, and later that year, the bank informed that I wouldn't be able to use my debit card to do any payments in a foreign country. So I applied for a credit card, and I started saving money into it. Came back from my trip and paid off and used the card. Life continued without any hiccups. I used to buy 5,000 Rand shares at work, and within a short space of time, I accumulated 150,000 Rand. Then came the divorce. It shook my financial world, and I still haven't recovered. My ex hasn't paid me half of what we accumulated together. Okay, so Jabu, the divorce for you was definitely a trigger. So a trigger is basically an event that turns our world upside down because it triggers a trauma within us. So there's something often, when things like this happen, major events, there are some things that they trigger within us around decisions we made in our childhood often, or in past lives even. Yes, in the Money Magic course, we touch on past lives and things like that. So even in past lives that we're not aware of. So there's something about the divorce that has triggered a trauma, and that trauma is connected to money. So when you got divorced, some kind of decision must have been triggered, or a vow was triggered. And I honestly don't know what that is, because this is why we go deeper and we do the work, so that we can understand what the trigger is and what the trauma is. Because I couldn't even hazard a guess. It could be anything, literally, you know. So just be aware of that. And that means that you need to actually heal the trigger itself, heal the trauma. And as you heal the trauma, that's when the changes will start to happen again around money. You'll find yourself starting to change your financial behavior again, and your relationship with money will change. Helen said, I've recently become self-employed and my savings are helping me not freak out, but my biggest financial challenge at the moment is asking people to pay me what I was earning at a company or more. Most people seem to think that's expensive, or they tell me their budget is tight. So that means I'm not making any money right now. Okay, so Helen, I hate to say this, but I have seen it in my own life, and I see it constantly with clients, with students, right? It's that it's never, again, it's never about the money, and in the same way, it's never about the other people, right? So it's about how we show up in terms of our finances, and when we're talking about our pricing, right? So do you feel comfortable with your pricing? Because if you think your pricing is expensive, then obviously you're not going to show up in a way that's like, oh my God, buy this is fantastic, it's really like at a decent price, right? So the irony of this, I tell people, is that I honestly could not get people to buy my coaching packages, buy my courses, buy anything when I was charging. The Money Magic course, by the way, started at 1,000 Rand. once off lifetime access. That was $100 for all this content, lifetime access. And you guys don't believe me, but when I had it at that price, I couldn't sell this course for nothing. Nobody wanted to buy. Like 2 or 3 people were willing to buy. Same with my coaching. And as I became comfortable with what I was offering and I hiked up the prices of all my products and services, that's when everything started to shift. In fact, I am booked out as a coach at my highest price now than when I was offering my coaching at the lowest price. That's because where I'm at now is completely different internally to where I was then. So we often tend to make the mistake of thinking that it's too expensive. The truth is that we view it as too expensive. And so how we show up is completely different. And believe it or not, it's some of the same people who are like, it's too expensive at that price. And then I'm like, okay, I'm doubling my prices. And people were like, oh, that seems fair. And I'm like, but wait, I had it at a lower price before and you were saying it's too expensive. But that's the thing, is because at that price, I believed it was too expensive. And then as I hiked up the price and I didn't just hike up the price, right? Is that I did the work and I started to see the value and see the shifts in people. And I was like, whoa, what I offer in terms of value is way, way more precious than anything, and it's amazing and it's incredible, and I think if people get this, they will see shifts and all that. So then I started to show up differently with people, right? I stopped being apologetic about my pricing, because often we're not even aware that because we think it's expensive. Because if you think about it, if I'm thinking you're thinking something is expensive, are you going to show up and be confident when people ask you about price? No. And if you're not confident about the price, why should your customer trust you and want to invest in you? That makes absolutely no sense, right? So become confident in your price. And you can't do it from a very surface level. Oh, I'm confident about my price, and tell yourself that. You need to do the work and feel it in your body, because people are not responding to your words, or they are responding to your actual internal energy. Whatever that is, people I can't explain it and I can't stress it enough, but we are constantly giving off some kind of vibe. And I don't want to say vibration and frequency, because I feel like that's so overused, especially in the spiritual space and personal development space. But just know that, just like how you can always sense when someone is BSing you, that female intuition that we're constantly talking about, people can sense that as well when we're discussing prices and we're selling prices. And at the back of their heads, they're like, she's not confident about the price and it's too expensive to her. Then yeah, good luck, hey? So just be careful of that. And then Getty, you said, my biggest financial challenge is I have a home loan and it's been 2 years since I've bought the house and it's stressing me. I wish I can have a lump sum of money so I can pay it off. I'm also scared to lose my job because I don't want to go back home to my parents' home. As for my bank account, I don't care about bank charges and what goes in and out of my bank account as long as I have money. I'm also scared of being broke, which makes me not enjoy life or make myself happy, because what if the money's finished, then what am I going to do? Phew. Okay, so Getty, I do believe that some of your answers you'll get a lot of your answers, because what I keep getting here is around the fear of not having money, the fear of literally checking the bank account, the fear of losing your home loan. So fear has a direct impact on how we save and invest money. And well, this masterclass is going to address that. So that's the good news. And I guess the main reason, based on on all the emails I got, it was the number one reason is the extra streams of income. That's why everyone is here, right? So I think I answered a lot of that in just the first part of this class. But I will keep touching on it together with the emotions throughout the class. I'll talk about income and the emotions that stop us from making income. Like I said, a lot around income for me happens in the Money Magic course because there's a lot, right? So I wish I could do like a 3-4 hour class, but it's just not possible. So then the savings and this debt, although people don't seem to mention savings in the email, people didn't mention savings that much. They mentioned debt, they mentioned extra streams of income, but best believe if you're going to create passive income, you're going to need savings, right? So financial freedom is really three-pronged. It's about income, it's about debt, and it's about a passive income. So you want to increase your income, and you want to decrease your debt. So if you have increased income, less debt, that means that you have more money left over to invest, right? And I say passive income, not all investments are created equal, and this is the absolute truth, right? There's so many different types of investments. Even a business is an investment. You've got exchange traded funds, you've got unit trusts, you've got real estate, you've got dividend shares, you've got all these interesting investments. And the investment vehicle that you choose, again, is going to be unique to you, right? And I truly believe this, is that not an investment vehicle that works for me may not necessarily work for you. So even within real estate, there are many ways to invest in real estate. Many people take different routes, and doesn't mean anyone is wrong or right. It just means that that's the one that works for you. So you're gonna have to do some study. And yeah, not to sell the Money Magic course again, but we do cover these things there, but hey. So what will you learn today? Step one, we're going to be talking about the link between emotions and financial behavior. And the second step, we're going to be talking about the 7 emotions that stop us from saving and investing. And then the third step is about healing ourselves to heal our finances. So let me quickly share my story with you. I sent it in the email, so I'm going to breeze through it really fast because I'm hoping you read the email and my story. So I graduated with an MBA in 2010. My background is in finance. I studied finance in undergrad. And that's how I came to do this work, actually, because I was living in the US in Boston, Massachusetts, and I accumulated $60,000 in debt. And for me, that was like atrocious. My parents were not debt people. And there's a very interesting reason, because I teach about vows of loyalty and rebellion to our parents. So I was definitely in my rebellion stage, the vow of rebellion against my parents. So since they'd never had debt, I was going to have debt. I know, the wildest, we choose the craziest things to rebel against, but that was me. So I had the $60,000 in debt. I was absolutely ashamed of my debt. I wouldn't tell my family. I just pretended that everything was okay. I had it all under control. And yet I was struggling with panic attacks, like serious panic attacks. Just the thought of money, handling money, managing money was just stressing me out. I was constantly tired and scared, but I also had this deep burning desire to be debt free. So for me, it was just really important to be debt free. So I did the Money Magic work. That's how this work came to be, because I got coaches, I went to courses, and I started employing a lot of the work that felt very intuitive to me. I started creating my own body of work as well, which is where the Money Magic work comes from. And then 4 years later, I was debt free. And I think I shared this on Facebook where I said, well, I thought being debt free at the time was the best thing ever, and it was financial freedom. And of course, last year, if you guys just started joining the Wealthy Money course and you don't know where my obsession with passive income comes from. I mean, I always wanted to create passive income, but where this whole like gung-ho and understanding of income and going deeper into it is really coming from. Because I was like, because my financial advisor was like, you're still young, you don't have to worry about retirement, you've got like this really, I'm doing all the correct things by society standards around investing and all that. So then last year I woke up and I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Being debt-free is just not enough. There's like, now I need to completely replace my income and create a passive income, because what happens is I'm going to be working on my business and saving for retirement until I get to 55. But what if I'm tired and I want to retire in 2020? Or things happen, you know, and I want to be a mommy one day and I don't want to be working, and so you guys can already imagine the kind of stories I was having, right? So then I was like, okay, I need to basically replace my income. So whether or not I have clients or students or anything, there's always money that is being paid. So how do I do that, right? And that is why I say, like, that's the next frontier for wealthy money. That's what I've been working on, right? So I paid off the $60,000 in debt. Anyway, I wrote and published a book, Heart, Mind, and Money. And I launched Wealthy Money. I started traveling, and I went to Morocco in January 2019. Well, I've been traveling actually for 15 years, but I went back to traveling when I launched Wealthy Money in 2014. 2015, I started traveling. So 2014, I started blogging. 2015, I was just like, F it, went back to traveling, and I've been doing that ever since again. So the only time in my adult years when I didn't travel was from 2011 to 2014, and it was good. I really needed that. I needed to focus, because that's how Heart, Mind, and Money was born. I needed to pay off debt. That was like top of the list. So this year so far, I've been to Morocco, was in Sri Lanka in April. I'm in Vietnam for May, heading to Thailand. Yeah. And then in April 2018, we had the first Wealthy Money retreat in Thailand. You guys already know, or I hope you know, that we had 2 retreats in Sri Lanka, April 2019, and then there's another retreat in Vietnam coming up in September. Guys, I actually can't believe this is happening. So Wealthy Money has been growing in that way. And those are the principles that I teach are based on how to grow an income. So how is able to create multiple streams of income within the company, right? So I also teach yoga. I have a yoga teaching certificate that I did in India, but I teach yoga at the retreats. It's all part of like being in tune with our bodies and sitting with our emotions around money in our bodies. So this is what some students say. So Tefafata says that she sent me a message about last year. She sent me this. She said, I just wanted to tell you that your course is doing wonders for me. Thank you, and keep doing what you're doing. My growth career-wise is happening so fast. It's unbelievable, over and above everything else that started, so etc. And then she says, there's also an awesome flow of money my way. It's amazing. I got so overwhelmed with emotions the other day as a result of the amount of money. Okay. So I want you guys to imagine who you would be without the shame or worry or guilt about month end and savings and just money in general, right? So where do we start? The link between emotions and financial behavior. Okay. So before I even start, I like to ask people what they think money is, right? So most of us tend to think that money, we don't even, I should say, like, we actually don't even give much time to think about money and what money is. But if you think about it, money is just numbers on a screen, paper and coins. And what money really does is it's just a medium of exchange. It allows us to pay for things, right? So to exchange money to get a service, to get a product. But money itself it's not a human being. So why is it that money can get us to feel some type of way? So why is it that money has so much control over our emotions when it actually is just a piece of paper? So most of us give away so much of our power to money when it's just a medium of exchange, right? So, and money only has the power that we give it. If you think about it, if all of us decide tomorrow that, you know what, I don't care for your money, then that person can't ever get our product and service, right? Because we are the ones that decide that money is the thing that has power, and that's one of the things that we often lose sight of. So money is neither good or evil. It's just a measure of value. And we've just created all these stories around money. And it's not money itself that trips us up. It's all these stories that we've created around money. And we also have tons of memories from childhood that involve money. We saw how our families would fight around money. So as a child, it's very difficult for a 4-year-old to be like, oh, well, money is just a measure of value. So the problem isn't money. The problem is just the way that people are viewing the situation. So as a 4-year-old, you hear adults fight about money and you come to the conclusion that money breaks up families. Money is problematic. Money is the issue. And that story that you create around money is now intrinsically tied to money. So every time something happens around money as an adult, it reconfirms that story, right? Because we haven't had time to analyze it or dissect it. So our emotions definitely affect our financial behavior, because it's not like I'm going to have, so back to the 4-year-old example, it's not like I'm going to observe people fighting about money and feel like, oh, money breaks up families, and I'm gonna go, oh my God, I want that. I want that tool that breaks up families. Nobody's gonna want that, right? So I'm not also gonna feel a lot of love around money in that case. So I'll probably, if you think someone is a homewrecker, so think about how we use the term homewrecker, and you think of money as a homewrecker. And how do you feel about homewreckers? Oh, imagine money is a lover and that lover is considered a homewrecker, right? You're not going to want that person around you. So obviously, and you're going to feel a type of way, and because you feel like that, you're not going to want money around you. So what are the 7 emotions that stop us from saving and investing? The first one is anxiety. So we talk a lot about fear, right? Like the fear of losing money, the fear of having money. So this is so interesting, because most of us have an equal fear of having money and an equal fear of losing money. But most times we're not even aware of it. What comes across is that we think that we want money, and that we have no fear of money. And so what often happens is that we end up going after money, but then we end up resisting money. So it's an equal fear of wanting something and not wanting it. And we live in a world that tells us that that if you want something, you can't not want it. Says who? We're like these divine beings. You can equally, how many of us hold opposing beliefs completely and totally in our souls, and we're not even aware of it? Is that we're holding 2 equally opposing beliefs. And it's possible to hold 2 equally opposing beliefs, because you can want money for certain things. I can want money to educate my brothers and my sisters, and to help my mother, and to educate my child. But I cannot want money, because I can also not want money, because I believe that money is the root of all evil. Right? So it's possible to hold these 2 opposing beliefs, because it's for 2 very different reasons that I want money and I don't want money. So just being aware of that. And so we'll find ourselves in this game of push and pull, right? When it comes to money. So anxiety, when it comes to anxiety, it will show up as fight or flight when it comes to money, right? So often, the most obvious that we have an issue with, we feel anxious about money, is that we run away from checking our bank accounts. So when we feel anxious around money, we're less likely to want to check our bank accounts, right? So we go straight into flight mode. We have a hard time opening our bills. So if you find yourself having your bills stack up, right, and you're not opening them up, you can't check your budget. Anxiety is a sure sign of that, because when we feel anxious, we go into fight or flight mode, and that shows up as avoidance behavior, right? So we avoid our finances. And obviously, because we don't know what's going on in our bank accounts and we're in avoidance mode, we're most likely to go into increased debt when our primary emotion around money is anxiety. Mainly because it's like month end is coming. So think about it, when you have bills due to be paid and you're feeling anxious, most of us literally freeze. We become deers stuck in the spotlight, and we're just like, oh. So then we can't think properly. It becomes very difficult to think, because all that adrenaline, all that energy that's around the fear and anxiety basically blocks off creativity. So it's not that easy for us to come up with new ways to pay off the bills and to pay off debt, right? So usually how we deal with anxiety is I send people to the lesson 1 meditations in the Money Magic course. So when it comes to guilt, so the second emotion is guilt. Guys, I'm so happy because I'm realizing that guilt is, I don't want to say no longer my primary emotion, touch wood. Oh, I have to touch wood. My primary emotion around money has been guilt for the last 3 to 4 years. I've blogged about it. I've shared in the groups. I've just, yeah. And I think last year was the first time when I was like, oh, after all this work, no longer feeling deep guilt, right? So why do we feel guilt around money? We feel guilt around money because we believe we're doing something wrong, right? So something about us having money or managing money or saving money or spending money or investing money, there's something in that we believe is wrong. So often when we feel guilt around money, we want to get rid of money. Because think about it, what happens when you are feeling guilty about anything? Let's imagine that you're feeling guilty about having cheated in the exam, right? In an exam. What you're going to do, you never want to talk about that topic, right? You never even want to discuss it. You don't want to talk about that mark, that grade. Most of us are constantly living in fear that will be discovered. So it's the same. The guilt around money makes us want to get rid of money, get rid of the evidence, right, that you're doing something wrong. So what we tend to do is we tend to undercharge. So if you're an entrepreneur, you'll tend to undercharge for your products and services. If you are employed, you'll tend to go into the workplace, but when it comes into negotiating time, negotiating for salaries, you'll probably undersell yourself, right? And we'll manifest emergencies. So we'll create emergencies as a way to get rid of money so that we we end up with no money. And inner child, I was going to say, I send people to the inner child work. I suggest inner child meditations and inner child healing, which is lesson 6 to lesson 9 in the course, right? And we do a lot of spirit of money work because it's about understanding your relationship with money better. And the third emotion is shame, right? So we feel ashamed of our finances, and when we feel ashamed of our finances, and often shame plays out very well, or is that the right word? Like the right wording, plays out very well, but plays out more obviously in debt. So when we're in debt, we tend to feel shame. This is an emotion that really goes hand in hand with debt, right? And shame and guilt sometimes feel interchangeable. So how you know you're feeling shame is that you feel like you can't show yourself in public. You know, like how our parents would sometimes say, oh, you should be ashamed, or people say you should be ashamed. And the implication is like, how can you even show yourself in public? So when you feel ashamed of your finances, and often it will be around debt or when we don't have money, most of us will feel this deep shame. So problem with feeling with shame is that it makes us want to hide. So imagine you're feeling ashamed around your debt. And this is based on this is an example that was true for me as well, right? So when I was deeply ashamed of my debt, I really wanted to hide, but that meant that I was making myself energetically invisible. So when I would go and show up for client meetings or show up for jobs, I would never get the job, because when they asked me to talk about the value that I bring and what I believe I'm worth or whatever, I couldn't do it, because at the back of my head was, oh my God, like I'm so in debt. How dare I show up for a finance job, right? So all that shame makes us want to hide. So when you are feeling ashamed of your low bank account, and let's say you're running, a graphics design company or website design company, not even related to money, and you're feeling that shame, how do you then show up completely and totally for a new client who may want to sign you up? If that shame is forcing you to hide, you're going to be like, oh, you're going to want to run away and bury your head in the sand, whereas that was your opportunity to turn your finances around. So dealing with the shame would help you change your finances, right? So shame is definitely about what others will think, right? So, and then it leads to procrastination, because there's no way that you're going to be super active and showing up to things when you're feeling like you have to hide yourself, right? So for shame, I also recommend inner child healing and lesson 1 meditations. And the 4th emotion is blame. So blame is a very interesting emotion, because I think that for people who have a victim shadow, blame is the most common emotion. Okay, why did I go back? Okay, sorry, I'm trying to get myself to go on to the next slide. Okay, so blame is when we give away. The way that blame plays out is that we say, my finances are this way because of this person, or my finances are this way because of the situation. And please understand that I'm not saying that situations and systems of oppression are not to blame for our financial situations, but at some point, those systems are never we have to own that those systems are never going to change in our favor. So the only thing that we can control is us, right? So, but when we hang on to that emotion of blame, we keep feeding into our victim shadow. And I say this with a lot of love, because my primary shadow is the victim. So how the victim plays out is, oh my God, I can't believe it. This is always somebody else's fault, right? But the minute you go into your victim archetype or your victim shadow, you give up your power, right? And that means that you can't take responsibility because it's someone else's fault. So so your mind automatically thinks that that other person has to fix the situation around money. So my husband is at fault. My ex-boyfriend is the one that got me into debt. Yes, they got you into debt, but then it's still blaming them for a year, blaming them for like a month, 2 months, 3 months, yeah, cool. You need to get it out of your system. But do you see how like continuing to blame them for another 6 months or even a year isn't going to change anything, because those people are moving on with their lives with your money, you know? So if you take responsibility and you go, okay, now my finances are in this situation, how do I change that? That now means that you're moving out of the victim archetype and you're now taking responsibility for your finances, because we can't change people. We can't make people take responsibility for things, right? And often when we're in blame mode, because we're in our victim shadow, we tend to give too much. We tend to give too much money. We tend to give too much of our time, too much of everything, because we often, the victim shadow, the way that the victim shadow operates is that you often find yourself needing approval and validation from external forces, from other people. So we often give too much. And I hear people go, I just give money even when I don't have it. Well, often it's got nothing to do with you being generous and you giving money to people, right? Because boundaries and self-care are also a thing. Generosity to self is also a thing. So why are you choosing to be generous to others over and above being generous to yourself? Right? So be generous to yourself and then be generous to others. But the reason why we do that, and then we say, oh, but I'm just a giver. It's not that. It's because often our identity is tied to being this giver, and we need the approval and validation of others to tell us, oh, you're so amazing, you're this, you're that, right? And we're using money to do that. And that comes a lot from being in the victim shadow. And often when you go deeper into the victim shadow, you then need to ask yourself, who am I being a victim to? What am I being a victim to, right? And often you'll find that we can be victims to systems, right? We can be victims to societal beliefs. We can be victims to other people's mistreatment of us, right? And so then we need to start owning our own power and start taking back the power that we're giving away, right? So again, what I found really, really helpful when it comes to healing blame, because blame is such an interesting emotion. I love interesting emotions because it's so intertwined with this powerlessness that we have, and it's intertwined with the victim shadow. So it's about healing the money shadow, which is lesson 3 of the Money Magic course, and inner child healing as well, because there's somewhere where we learned how to blame people from somewhere, and there's somewhere where we learned to take on the victim shadow, right? So we need to go back there and start to heal those moments and those stories and those events. So that's lesson 6 to lesson 9 of the Money Magic course. Number 5 is overwhelm. So I think overwhelm is quite self-explanatory, right? So when we feel overwhelmed, we just feel like we have too much to do. And this is not, this is something that most people will often feel overwhelmed when they are dealing with too much debt, right? When there's just too much happening in your finances. And who can blame you, right? When you don't know if you're coming or going and there's debit orders coming from here to there, it becomes absolutely impossible to then sit down and be like, I want to deal with my finances, because overwhelm kicks in. So what happens then is that we tend to go into running mode. So we want to run, we procrastinate because we don't know where to start, right? We don't know where to start first. So it just becomes impossible. And I know this because when I was $60,000 in debt, I remember writing out the debts that I owed. And I think I had like a list of like 10 to 15 different debts. I had like 5 different credit cards. I had 3 student loans, because I had my undergrad loan and 2 loans in Boston. So I owed Sally Mae. I owed Sally Mae, and I also owed my school money. Gosh, it was a mess. Then I owed friends and family. It was hectic. So I just wanted to run because it was just too much and I didn't know where to start. So I would always procrastinate around money, right? So how we deal with overwhelm is in the goal setting lesson 3 of the Money Magic course. And we talk about adopting new financial behaviors, which has some really cool things like I think that's where we also do higher self meditations and just like really understanding how our higher self would then approach our finances, right? So number 6 is frustration. 6, frustration. So when we feel frustrated about money, we really want to give up. So I have often seen like how frustration plays out is when we're just on the verge of a financial breakthrough. Often it will feel like I am so freaking tired, like I've done everything, I can't do it anymore. And then you just get frustrated and you give up, right? And this often happens with most of us every month. We start budgeting, we budget, and then just like a week before payday or 2 weeks before payday, we've been like following our budget. Then we're like, F it, this budget isn't working. I'm just going to blow everything and go get retail therapy or something, right? Because that frustration just makes us want to give up. And also frustration comes from, there's like the impatience element of frustration is that we want everything to happen now. And we'll talk about impatience in the next slide, right? So we tend to self-sabotage in that way. When we're frustrated and when we're acting from frustration when it comes to money, we really self-sabotage. And we also engage in miserly behavior. Because we're frustrated, we just want to get everything done and out of the way. So if you know you want to get to a financial goal, you want to pay off your debt, you may start finding yourself depriving yourself out of just pure frustration because you think that's the way forward. Well, I can truly tell you that I have seen how self-deprivation actually doesn't work, that you can have the same income and deprive yourself of everything and cut back on expenses over and over, and still that income doesn't stretch because the very nature of self-deprivation is coming from the space that there's not enough money. And because the mind needs to be right, the mind will prove to you that there's not enough money. So the mind has to prove that belief correctly. The problem isn't the money in that case, right? The problem has everything to do with the belief that you hold around money. So that's what needs the healing. It's not depriving yourself and going without food, not spending money on yourself. It's about healing that deep belief because the mind will still find a way to prove to you that you don't have enough money or that you'll never get out of debt, right? So for that, I usually, for frustration, I usually tell people to work with the spirit of money, right? Impatience is number 7. Okay. So impatience is that's so obvious. We all know that, right? Because impatience is about wanting what you want now and spending all the money that you have right now. So it's about instant gratification. And of course, if you're going to spend instantly on everything that you see, you're going to end up in debt. That's just a fact, right? So, and obviously, if you're impatient, if everything around money for you is impatience, that I need money now, doesn't matter, I just want money now, and you're impatient for money, you'll take the first salary offer. So studies have shown that people that are super impatient don't negotiate for money. They don't negotiate better financial deals. They don't negotiate when they're buying their first homes or their second homes or when they're buying cars. They just take the first offer on everything. So that means that they tend to overpay, right? Because they're impatient. They won't wait another week or two to see if the price will go down or shop around to see if there's something better. So that will obviously impact your finances. So for impatience, it's really about sitting and understanding what's going on in your body and getting used to this feeling of impatience in your body. So that's why I recommend lesson 1 meditations in the Money Magic course and the higher self meditations, lesson 2, which is lesson 2 of the Money Magic course. So let me know in the chat if any of this made sense, how you're feeling, all that good stuff. And the last part of the masterclass, or the second last, is about healing ourselves to financial freedom. So I've been saying this throughout the masterclass, right? Is that it's not about the money. It's about us, right? Is that money is money, but it's about our stories around money, our beliefs around money, right? It's about our fears around money, the fear of who we'll be when we have money, the fear of what others will say and how they'll judge us when we have money and don't have money, right? And it's about really understanding our relationship with money, which is about understanding your spirit of money and the archetypes you've created around money. It's about understanding your money stories. It's really about healing money, our relationship with money, right? So most of us have been taught that you have to fix your income, your savings, your investments, your debt, your spending, and we've been trying that. It's not that we're not trying, that we're not going after the higher paying jobs, that we're not going every month, listen, I want to save this much money. And then we don't understand why we're failing, because we're trying to treat the symptom without healing the cause, right? And really, it's not about the money. It's about changing our thoughts around money, our beliefs, our memories, our vows, our ancestral heritage, and our spiritual beliefs around money, right? And how these show up in the body, like all our thoughts, our beliefs, memories, vows, ancestral heritage, spiritual beliefs around money show up as emotions, sensations, and changes in breath in our bodies as we handle money, right? So obviously in the bank account challenge, if you haven't joined the bank account challenge, when I launch it again, please join it in a few months, right? So we're a long way away from the bank account challenge, but I talk a lot about this, which is that observing the emotions in your body. And even the emotions are a symptom, and the sensations and the changes in our breath are a symptom of something way deeper, right? Which is the thoughts, the vows, the ancestral heritage. Yes, our ancestors have given us some crazy, interesting beliefs around money, right? And we just have to acknowledge that and also heal it. So again, keep sharing your insights in the chat. I will address everything after the masterclass. And just to recap what you learned today, you learned about the link between emotions and financial behavior. Then you learned about the 7 emotions that stop us from saving and investing. And then you learned about what it means to heal ourselves, to heal our finances, that it's not just about the thoughts and affirming and visualizing, but there's also trauma that we need to heal. There's a bunch of things that we need to heal that will affect our finances. And the thing is that, listen, it's a lifetime thing, right? Because heck, it's taken us so many years to be these people, and these beliefs, these stories, these family events have shaped us to be the people that we are. So it's not so much about building a new human being as peeling away all the layers that have stopped us for years from just being ourselves and accessing our own wisdom around finances and money. So I know that most people are here today because I'm assuming you want to unlock your inner money guru when I hear people talking about income, right? And you want to know how to start trusting money and trusting yourself with money. You probably want to stop sabotaging yourself financially. You want to be debt-free, and you want to change your relationship with money. But most importantly is that you want to expand financially. By that, I mean you want to create extra streams of income, you want to create passive income, all that good stuff, right? So I always say to people, you owe it to yourself to fall in love with your bank account and just live your best life, right? And I do have a guidance system, which is the Money Magic course, which you guys hear me talk about all the time. Nothing I've shared with you today is theory or ideas. I do a lot of research on things, right? But I also test them out on clients and students and myself and find ways on how to heal that. So before it comes into the course, right? So these are all the things me and my clients have done to increase income, start saving, and start investing. And I honestly don't have any special skills or access to expensive resources. I just have these meditations and worksheets that I've created, right? That I've been sharing with people. And one of the things that I see is that people don't understand that our relationship with money is a daily relationship, just like a romantic relationship. So it requires daily work. So what most of us do is we go, oh, well, I am this person now, but I just want to show up for one class, or I want to read one book, and I wanted to change my entire life. But what are you doing every single day to change your finances and to change that relationship? Understanding that it's taken you years and years to build up the relationship that you have with money. Whether or not it's a good one is irrelevant, but you've built it for a reason. And so now it's about changing it and doing the work every day, right? For most people, they understand that in a romantic relationship, they'd have to work on that relationship, on that romantic relationship. But people don't seem to want to give the same amount of attention to working on their finances. It takes the same amount of work, right? Because you interact with money every single day, in the same way that you interact with your lover, right? You interact with money. So every day you're forming you're forming new stories, new beliefs, you're reinforcing the old stories, reinforcing the old beliefs. So so those need to be worked on and changed, right? Or the traumas, or you're re-triggered. Most of us are re-triggered around money every day, and we don't even know it, Every single day we're being triggered around money, and we're not even aware of it. So your relationship with money isn't going to change with this one class, right? So this class is the first step to just making you aware, right? And it's unfair to expect that your relationship with money will change with reading one article. You have to actively work on it like a romantic relationship. So when you go back into your romantic relationship after attending a class on relationships and becoming a better person in the relationship, it's not like you walk in and it's magic and roses. There are things that then come up where you're like, wait, this wasn't covered in the class. Oh my God. It's the same with money. Right? So the Money Magic course, which is my favorite tool for healing your relationship with money, is open for registration from now, May 26th, until June 5th, so Wednesday, June 5th. And you can register at wealthy-money.com/masterclass, right? Again, register at wealthy-money.com/masterclass. I'm recording this class. I'm going to post it on the web page so that you guys, at the web page that I couldn't access to give the class, that one, I'm going to post the recording on there. And then you guys can actually look at the recording and start to, and you can also click at the bottom on the big button that says click here to to enroll in the Money Magic course, or something like that. Okay, so what do students say? So Michelle says that the value of the course is well worth more than the price. I thought I was signing up for a money course. I thought I had dealt with most other limiting beliefs. This course continues to teach me that everything is related, and the best way to heal your money and anything else really is holistically. And I'm a big believer of this, right? That I can teach the practical stuff around money and paying off debt, but if we don't heal the deeper stuff, like all the deeper traumas around money and the wounds around money, it's really, really difficult, right? It's really, really difficult to do the practical stuff, because we've just spoken about how fear makes you want to hide and run away from money. So how are you going to do money work when you are in hyper fear? If you are hiding because you are feeling shame, how are you going to go and talk to a financial advisor or a stockbroker or a real estate agent about those investment vehicles if you're feeling shame, and the very nature of shame is to make you want to hide, right? So first we heal the things that are stopping us from showing up fully in our finances and taking action. And then we take action, or we do it all concurrently. I mean, there's no script to this, I promise you. So Busi said all this awesome stuff. She said, at first I was skeptical of paying for such a service. I thought as a trained coach, I can do the work using books and what's out there. But then I joined the group and started watching the free videos. And only after a number of months, I decided to use these services. Although I thought it was pricey, the decision was already made in my spirit. Now that I'm in the course, I realize how much work went into the course and that the price is justified. Okay, and then Matsi talks about, says, had somebody been telling me these stories, I wouldn't believe them. Saturday, the people who took my services for training, who agreed to pay me twice what I had charged, requested a lunch meeting to rework the program. I went. Guess what? Today, they've amended the contract and included half a day pay for the 90 minutes meeting we had yesterday. I'm shaking. So again, proving that it's not that things are too expensive. It's that as we change, we show up differently. And suddenly people are like, oh, I think I see a value now, right? So the course is a holistic approach to money. To changing our relationship with money. It's about the spiritual, emotional, and practical aspects of managing our finances. And what you get in the course is 16 modules, 30 plus bonus classes, worksheets, budget spreadsheets, over 45 hours of video and audio training. I kind of go wild, right? I mean, I do master classes. You guys see how I love the live videos on the big group, right? In the Money Magicians group. I'm like that in the student group as well, right? Except like I trigger them all the time. And then there's a secret Facebook tribe, which is the best thing ever. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. I love the student group. It is absolutely incredible. So the whole point of the course is to teach you to turn your financial blocks into benefits, right? So it's about how do you use these challenges, what you see as challenges, how can we find opportunities in them, but how can we heal? Better yet, like how can we heal? Guys, I'm very, very big on the healing part, right? So what you get with the course is obviously turning financial benefits into blocks into benefits, increasing income and savings. We set bold money goals and go after them. So that's a big thing, right? We set money goals. And you have a money tribe to cheer you on. I know that's something that we just gloss over and we don't talk about, but the power of having a tribe on this journey, people who are speaking the language that you're speaking around money, oh my God, so priceless. So you can see all this on the course website though, right? So you'll see that this is how these are some of the lessons. So I haven't posted all the lessons on here. So lesson 0. So each lesson takes you about actually 2 weeks. These are the old screenshots because the lessons keep growing. So the lessons actually take about 2 weeks to do. So 2 weeks for every lesson because they kind of a lot, right? So these are videos, for example, live classes where I'm teaching about being present with your financial vision. How do you take your financial vision, sit with it, and then break it down and turn it into a daily action plan, right? So those are things that we work into. It's like, how do you take something that is 5 years big and turn it into a daily action plan so that you start reaching your goals by the actions that you take on a daily basis. And we talk about resources. So if you read my story on Jane and how we used whatever resources she had to increase her income, I shared that story on Facebook. Then in the Facebook group earlier last week? Okay, I think, yeah, I shared that. No, I think it was this week. I can't remember. Anyway, it was all about creating a resource plan, right? It was about how do we take the resources that we have and create a whole new income stream. and adopting new financial behaviors. So that's lesson 5. And then in lesson 6, we're looking at living with intention. And as you can see, here are a lot of like inner child stuff, parenting the inner child. These are meditations. So a lot of things are about, these are meditations. So whenever you see these little things that looks like a worksheet, that's meditations. These are videos. This little play button, that's videos, right? And lesson 7 is all about healing the inner teen. So these are all meditations. Lesson 8 for healing family dynamics around money. We talk about healing the mother wound, the father wound, releasing vows of loyalty and rebellion to our family. So that's very much ancestral stuff that we're healing. We're calling on the ancestral lineages. It's, yeah. And then we have the practical aspects around money, right? Which is the important stuff, like creating investment portfolios. This is important. So we talk about that. So there's live classes on that. And then we have worksheets that we talk about tax. That's important. How to hold yourself accountable. We have investment strategies. We discuss various investment strategies. Then we talk about building an investment portfolio, right? And creating, managing portfolios in uncertain times. We talk about how to get into property, right? So I bring on experts. I talk to them. We talk about how to start investing in exchange traded funds. We talk about Forex and exchange rates and how they affect our investment portfolios, talk about interest rates, inflation, investments. Yeah, so I think, and there's a lot more in the course. So there's a lot more lessons that I'm not sharing because we'll be here all day. And there's bonus live classes that I do. And there's extra bonus courses that I just wake up one day and create. I don't know why, but I do that. And then I also, another challenge. So I have an asking challenge. Like I said, I just keep updating the course, because that's another thing. It's like that the course is a living, breathing body of work. Whatever price you pay, it doesn't matter. The course, I constantly upgrade the course. So whatever I'm learning, I upgrade it. I bring on my contacts. I ask them to teach certain classes. So when people are like, I need to learn about this, dividend shares. Then I'm like, oh, okay, who do I know in the finance industry that's teaching that? Can they come teach a class, right? So that's my entire thing. I love that. And I love bringing people on to teach. One of the teachers that completely rocked our worlds was my friend who came to teach 2 classes. He lives in Boston. So it was very interesting because it's like, can I have an American come teach South Africans about property? And it went down so well. I mean, everybody listened and he just taught the principles of property investment. And it started us all on this really amazing path of wanting to learn more. Right? So the best part of the course is that you do it at your own pace. You have lifetime access. You buy now and you have access to all new course materials. You don't have to pay extra. So about doing the course at your own pace, I also teach in the Facebook group. So I will go on my own tangent and be like, this month, we're all doing inner child healing. This month, we're all doing this. This month, we're doing this challenge. We're focused on increasing income. And I'll be teaching and using the lessons from the course to teach in the Money Magic group, right? And there is a 30-day money back guarantee. I've actually had I've never had someone ask for their money back, you know? I've had people go, well, I need to pause the course for a while and then I'll come back, I'll buy it again. And I've had people do that and buy it again because they see the value, because for some reason things are not panning out the way that they thought they would when they first purchased the course. But money back, no, but touch wood, let's have it stay that way, right? So I said here, because remember, this was originally meant to be done in the, meant to be done in the web page with the big yellow button under the video where it says join now. You could click on that, but you can just go to wealthy-money.com/money magic. You'll also be getting emails to remind you about the course and registration. So what does the course cost? Okay, so it costs 15,997 Rand once off, or $1,597 once off. So you pay now, you get lifetime access, or you pay over 12 months. So 1,499 Rand over 12 months, or $149 over 12 months. Okay, and you get lifetime access. So I say to people, taking a college course or in-person class would actually cost you way more when it comes to personal finance. And I think the thing that makes the Money Magic course so effective and so awesome is the meditation. So I create my own meditations. They are unique to Wealthy Money. And I know that people don't teach these meditations in college because I am not teaching a college course. And if you sign up today, you get the Travel and Save Like a Boss course, where I teach about traveling, right? And how I get to travel. And so I'll teach you guys how to budget. It's more like how to start traveling in 6 months, obviously, because I'm not going to sell you a dream of how you're going to travel starting next month. So 6 months as you do the work, how can you budget and start to basically prep your life for 6 months so that you can start traveling. Because I do think it takes 6 months emotionally, mentally, and everything. That's a good amount of it's a good amount of time if you want to start traveling. And there are many ways to travel, right? It's not just the way that I'm doing it. There are just so many ways to travel, and traveling can be literally a getaway for a week to Spain. You know, it doesn't have to be this prolonged thing of just constantly being on the go, right? So that's still traveling. The courses that course is worth $197 or 2,199 Rand. Oh God, I forgot to change all that. So you can join now by just going to the link at wealthy-money.com/money magic. Again, I will send out emails where you can just click on the link, the hyperlink, right? So when you do click on the link, you will end up on this page, right? And it will say Creating Money Magic. Click here to register. This is how you're going to register. And then you'll have all these options. You can choose how you want to pay. Are you paying in you? If you're based out of South Africa, it won't give you the Rand option. You don't have an option but to use to pay in dollars. The system just does it like that. I would like it to be different, but that's the only option that it has. And you may be charged a tax as well, depending on the country where you reside. Again, that is based on the system. That's the payment system and not me, right? So just click on the option that you want and then click on Enroll in Course, and it will ask you to complete the purchase. So enter your credit card details, right? Enter your payment details, and then you click on Enroll in Course. Then you'll get this this message that says, welcome, you're officially a Money Magic student. When you get that message, that's when you know that you've enrolled in the course. And then you can click here to access course, and you'll get all the lessons of the course. And shoot me an email, no, don't shoot me a Facebook inbox and ask me to add you to the Facebook group for the students, because that's really where most of the magic happens as well, right? And you should receive a message from me welcoming you to the Money Magic course, right? So do you have any questions? Let me stop the screen sharing and go back to see what people have said in the chat box. Sorry. So guys, I'm just reading everybody's chat. Okay, so Canisia, you just said still can hear you. And then Tony, you said, thank you, Vangile. This has been so powerful. After learning about the 7 emotions, I feel relief because this is what I've been looking for. I've been aware for a long time that something deeper has been blocking my financial abundance. I have so many questions, but the thing I realize is that I'm currently in a place of not knowing what to do next. And that place of not knowing what to do, not having the skills, leads to anxiety and the fight or flight mode. Yeah, I totally understand, Tony. Like sometimes when we don't know what to do, right, it's what makes us anxious. And sometimes we think we don't know what to do, but we really do know. And we've basically trained ourselves to say, I don't know, because it's easier than admitting that we do know, because we're scared of acknowledging what the next step means. Because sometimes the vision is so big and it feels so scary that it's easier to fool ourselves into believing that I don't know, right? And that's fine, right? That's cool. We all do that. So just being aware of that I don't know. So one of the things that I love to ask clients when they tell me that they don't know is I say to them, pretend you do know. Then what would you do? Right? And then they then they say, oh, if I just pretend, I say, pretend there's a version of you that actually does know. What would that version of you know? What would they say? What would they do? And then that opens up this whole can of worms, right? Because then it's like, oh my God, it's so scary. I do know. How do I move forward? Then that's the conversation that you need to be having. It's like, what is the next step? Now that I do kind of know what the vision is, how do I make it a reality? And that's when the magic can start to happen as well. So if you truly believe that you don't know what to do next, I really encourage you to just simply ask yourself the question, what if there was a version of me that did know? What would that version know? What would they think? What would they say they want? Just play around with that, right? Because it's not as scary for the subconscious mind, right? And then from there, you can look at that and be like, this could be what I want. And then it becomes about, how do I make that happen? And what are the things that are blocking me from achieving this vision and from even taking action? That's where the healing comes into place, right? It's about unlocking what it is that is causing that fear and healing that root cause of the fear so that you can take action. Okay. And so Lesejo, you say, thank you for sharing, Vangile. It's only a pleasure. So Pelogazi, you say, thank you for this class. A light bulb has been switched on. Observing my emotions and the relationship with money will certainly improve. A lot of work has to be done for me. A lot of work constantly has to be done for all of us. It's part of being alive, right? Is that I'm also constantly doing the work. Heck, I'm like, like 2 weeks ago, I was in the Money Magic student group. I'm like, my life is falling apart. Like since the Sri Lankan retreat, everything's just like falling apart. Now I have this big vision that I know what I want in terms of money. And I'm not like, how's this going to happen? How's it all going to fit together? But as we continue to do the work, and as I continue to do the work, so the irony was I did the work, I went back and I did what I tell people to do, or when I did the meditations. And then I came up with a 1-page strategy. Then I went back on the group and I'm like, oh my God, this is too easy. There's something wrong with this entire strategy. How can it be so easy? Then now I have to do all this work that I'm still working on around how easy it seems, right? Because obviously, what do you do when you think something is too easy? You create challenges to make it hard. So I see myself creating these beautiful, energetic hurdles and challenges so that I can make it hard and I can justify the strategy to myself. And that's just so human. So the real story then becomes, where did I learn that ease is not my natural way of living? And oh God, pick a struggle. I'm like a Black South African woman. I was brought up to believe that hard work is the only way forward. like literally so many beautiful stories to heal around that, just the entire ancestral story of hard work, right? Then inner child work, mother wound work, father wound work, and just healing those generational stories, right? And ancestral stories. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me and for waiting 30 minutes and showing up and being in this class. I really love doing this work and delivering this work. It's like my best thing ever. So thank you for coming to have fun with me on the Sunday evening. Have a fantastic day. Let me know what you thought of the class via email. Thanks, Tony. Let me know what you thought of the class via email, share in the Facebook group, in the larger Facebook group, so other people know that the class is worth attending, right? And it's not just like gonna be super boring. So have a fantastic day. Bye. Oh, and I'll send out the recording and emails throughout the next few days, reminding you guys about the Money Magic course and the closing date. Okay, cheerio.